Hey, Shalom Israel. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, the honor city apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to your elect men pushing, and Shalom to the elect men pushing truth and sincerity. I just want to get into a quick topic on, praying into the Lord, and what's the best way to get your prayers answered, man. And this is a book of Nehemiah 1:1. It says the words of Nehemiah, the son of Hekaliah, and it came to pass in the month Shislu, in the 20th year, as I was in Shushan the palace. Then Hanani, one of my brethren, came, he and certain men of Judah, and I asked him concerning the Jews that had escaped, which were left of the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said unto me, the remnant that are left of the captivity there in the province are in great affliction and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem also is broken down, and the gates thereof are burnt with fire. And it came to pass, when I heard these words, that I sat down and wept, and mourned certain days, and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. So this at this point in time, after Nehemiah heard the reproach of his people, in Babylon, because this is when Jerusalem was burnt down, in the time of Babylon. Verse 4, it says, and it came to pass when I heard these words, that I sat down and wept, and mourned certain days, and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven, and said, I beseech thee, O Lord God of heaven, the great and terrible God, that keepeth covenant and mercy for them that love him and observe his commandments. Like I said, Nehemiah at that point in time, before Nehemiah prayed, he even knew before he prayed he had to humble himself, man. And how did he humble himself? By weeping and fasting and praying, man. Yeah. This is, let thy ear now be attentive, and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now, day and night, for the children of Israel thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee. Both I and my father's house have sinned. We have dealt very corruptly against thee, and have not kept the commandments, nor the statutes, nor the judgments which thou commandest thy servant Moses. Remember, I beseech thee, the word that thou commandest thy servant Moses, saying, if ye transgress, I will scatter you abroad among the nations. But if you turn unto me, and keep my commandments and do them, though there were of you cast out unto the uttermost parts of heaven, yet will I gather them from thence, and will bring them unto the place that I have chosen to set my name there. Now these are thy servants and thy people, whom thou hast redeemed by thy great power and by thy strong hand. O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thy ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant, and to the prayer of thy servants who desire to fear thy name. And Nehemiah, like I said, he humbled himself, man. He said, I understand why you sending us through this, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. I understand that we went off. I understand that even I myself went off. Therefore, we are yet to stay in a captivity, and you have scattered us. But, I'm asking you, Lord, I'm humbling myself unto you, man. And I'm asking you to hear my prayers. And it says, O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thy ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant, and to the prayer of thy servants who desire to fear thy name. So that's another thing, man. You got to desire to fear the name of Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. You got to desire this truth, And it says, and prosper, I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man, for I was the king's cupbearer. So, Nehemiah himself was in slavery, man. He was under the king Artaxerxes. And actually, I'm going to read a little bit of the second chapter, but, just to prove my point of how if you're, humble and of a contrite spirit, actually, I could grab that real quick. Pull this out of the way. Humble, contrite. This is Isaiah 57:15. For thus saith the high and lofty one that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy or separate. I dwell in the high and holy place, with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, and to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones, And the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, is with that contrite and that humble man. You know, let's look up contrite. Daka, Daka. To crush, to be crushed, to be contrite, be broken. So he was broken, man. And that's how we are, man. Once we heard this truth, man, once we heard, once we woke up to the truth of who we are, man, the fact that we're in slavery, we broken, man. You know? So how the hell, you know what I'm saying, if, you claim to really, truly be serving the Lord in truth, sincerity, how could you be proud, man? That don't even make sense, man. Hey, the Most High said, he called us worms in Isaiah, the 40th chapter. So the Most High looks at us as small creatures, man. So in order for the Most High to recognize you in your prayers, to hear your voice, you have to be humble, man. That's that only makes sense, So this is back. Go back to Nehemiah, the 2nd chapter. Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 1. And it's what, being of a contrite and humble spirit gets you. This is Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass in the month Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes, the king. And when you look up Artaxerxes, the king, he was a king, like I said, he was, I believe he was like, I know he was one of the Persian kings. So it says, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes, the king, that wine was before him. And I took up the wine and gave it to the king, because like I say, he was a cupbearer, which a cupbearer just means, a person who gives a drink to the king, pours his drinks and stuff. Now I had not been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy countenance sad, seeing that thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. That then I was very sore afraid. So and that also goes to show you how the kings back then were more spiritual. Verse 3, and said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should not thy countenance be sad, when the city, the place of my father's sepulchres, lieth waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire? Then the king said unto me, and that's, that goes to show you, man, how Nate talking about some have fun. How you gonna have fun, when your people are trodden down, man? When it's supposed to be our world, but yet it's not, man. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, as is written in Baruch, man. So this is Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 5. And I said unto the king, if it please the king, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it. And the king said unto me, the queen also sitting by him, for how long shall thy servant? And the king said unto me, the queen also sitting by him, for how long shall thy journey be? And where wilt thou return? So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time. Moreover, I said unto the king, if it please the king, let letters be given me to the governors beyond the river, that they may convey me over till I come into Judah, and a letter unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the polish, which appertaineth to the house, and for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall enter into. And the king granted me, according to the good hand of my God upon me. So that's the point, man. If you pray unto the Lord of a humble and a contrite spirit, and also if you bring the Lord's words back up into his face, man, humbly, of course, not pridefully, but that's a short thing to get your prayers answered, man. And the Lord, as the scriptures say, and that also goes to show you how the Lord was delighted in him, because the scriptures say, when a man's ways is pleasing unto the Lord, even his enemies are at peace with him. Now Artaxerxes, he was still an enemy, all right, unto Israel. But what? Artaxerxes allowed Nehemiah to build back up his temple, man. All through this, for being humble, and for bargaining with the Lord, so to speak, for pleading with the Lord, man. I'm gonna get, see, so many precepts I got in mind. I'm gonna just get a few. Psalms 34 and and 3. Oh, magnify the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord Yahweh, and he heard me, and delivered me from all my fears. They looked unto him, and were lightened, and their faces were not ashamed. The poor man cried, and the Lord heard, and saved him out of all his troubles. So, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, man. And, we all had troubles, man. We all in this flesh, so you definitely got troubles, man. And you're in captivity, so that's another trouble, man. Gotta pay bills. You're subject to payments. You can never, you work for all the money, but as the scriptures say, it's like putting in a bag filled with holes. You gotta go home too. If you have a woman, she's, what I'm saying? She's not, how our women are supposed to be, And if you don't have a woman, now you're still troubled at that, man. So it's just trouble after trouble after trouble, man. So we have fears, man. So what? We should be always praying and talking to the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man. This is the angel, verse 7. The angel of the Lord Yahweh encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them. So the angels are recording our prayers too, man. And you think they're not, bringing them back and forth to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai? It's a taste and see that the Lord Yahweh is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him. So it's always good to trust in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man. And you can't go wrong. Nehemiah didn't go wrong. And when you look in the book of Songs of Three Holy Children, you know what I'm saying? Or the book of Daniel, when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were cast into the fire, who was there, man? Yahweh Shai. You know what I'm saying? So this is Psalms chapter 18, verse 1. And I'll be thinking of it too. Like, why did the Lord call David a man after his heart, man? That's a heavy title right there. The Lord called Yahweh Shai his only begotten son. And you look at their actions, man. I'm like, damn, I gotta be like that. That's what the Lord likes, man. So that's, to me, I always revert back to Psalms. That's a great book. Which a psalm is a song, a melody of David, man. It says, Psalm chapter 18, verse 1. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, the servant of Yahweh, who spake unto Yahweh the words of this song in the day that Yahweh delivered him from the hand of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul. And he said, I will love thee, O Yahweh, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God and my strength, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation and my high tower. Verse 3, I will call upon Yahweh, who is worthy to be praised, so shall I be saved from my enemies. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. Whether we have ailments or scoffers, man, 2/3, coming up against this word, man. That's what we have to deal with, man. That's the sorrows of death, man. That's the sorrows of hell, man. Having to deal with the so-called white man, having to put up with his mess. Verse 6, in my distress I called upon Yahweh and cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even unto his ears. So, man, we got to cry and humble ourselves and pray and plead with the Lord, man. And this is how your prayers are going to be answered. And one of the prayers I've been putting up personally is to remember and fear you, Yahweh, to remember and fear the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. You know, um, just a personal testimony. I can see that the Lord is always allowing me to remember Him, man. And everything, I go through, He's allowing me to be spiritual enough. Not boasting or bragging, but just going to show you, man, how being humble, just goes a long way with Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, man. And allow me to show and show me how He's working in my life, man. To allow me to continue to to remember and fear Him, man. So with that, I hope brothers was edified. Shalom to the elect.